Wait. There we are. Sorry, everybody. Okay. That was a Seth bad.
Okay,
That was
Seth.
that was a big Seth bad there. Hi,
All
everybody.
right. Are we unmuted now?
We are unmuted.
All right. Welcome to MGoRadio 7.6. Thank you for the technical difficulties. They're this week's sponsor, technical difficulties. We are leading into the Northwestern game, and there's a George Jewett trophy that's about to be unveiled and competed for the first time. So we have Craig Ross here to talk about George Jewett's interesting history. But first, let's talk about our sponsors who are nice. We like them. So now you talk about the sponsors, Seth.
You cut off for a second. I thought like your audio went away or something because bad things have been happening to me today. We do want to thank our sponsors. We're sponsored by Underground Printing. UGP has 3 retail locations in Ann Arbor. They offer thousands of University of Michigan athletic products. Check out ugpmichiganapparel.com. We also want to thank our associate sponsors, Peak Wealth Management, Homeshare Lending, Ann Arbor Elder Law, Michigan Lograd, Human Element, the Phil Klein Insurance Group, Prentice 4M, and SignalWire, which we are using to bring Alex in, although we can't show that to you because my computer setup here in Brian's house is not perfect.
Glare. Glare.
Nice house, though.
Thank you.
Beautiful fireplace.
Yes, it's Finnish. With 2 ends. I guess probably didn't have to say that. Anyway, this year's edition of Northwestern is not the usual edition of Northwestern. They're pretty bad. They're not scrappy. This is the scrappiest team in the country, I think, on a year-in, year-out basis. They win overtime games 10-7. They win the West for no reason whatsoever a couple times a decade. But this team is just getting run over. And Alex watched this in person. Well, not in person, but on tape. And Alex, what the heck happened?
Well, I've actually watched Northwestern twice. I watched them for Nebraska and then at least their defense. And they just can't stop the run at all, especially off the edge. Adrian Martinez in that Nebraska game. The defensive ends have no idea what they're doing with any degree of certainty, right? If it's a run or defense, you would give that totally to them. And then against Michigan State, they couldn't adjust to Kenneth Walker's cutback whatsoever. The defensive end would commit to doing one thing, Walker would cut it back, and virtually untouched on a lot of plays. And, the defensive tackles are always undersized for Northwestern, but when you combine that with the ends, that's a problem. And normally they have pretty good linebackers. The meat of the defense last year was the linebackers, Patty Fisher and the older Gallagher. Those guys are both gone. Chris Bergen, who was the starter at the linebacker level last year, has kind of been exposed as not the best of those 3 from last year. And they've got the younger Gallagher in there now, and it's bad. They can't really find the gaps, so you've got major losses at the line of scrimmage, and not only are they clean it up at the second level. So I think their secondary is okay, their pass rush is okay, but the MSU and Nebraska games were over before it started.
They did have a bye week, and then they came out of that bye week. And then once you get rid of all the sacks and the team rushes and stuff, they did hold Rutgers down to about 87 yards rushing on 23, 27 carries, something like that. Legitimately decent performance against the team that has a little pop in the run game. Does that seem like a sustainable thing, or is it just like Rutgers occasionally falls apart, or is this a potential renaissance in the offing?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
I just watched it. All
right. Well,
that was Rutgers kind of used the same strategy they used against Michigan.
Right, because they only have one thing they can do every year.
Yeah, and first of all, like Northwestern had everything scouted that like they did against Michigan. So I think Rutgers just got Michigan locked on the field, and they just didn't know how to deal with that one play, and they're like, okay, run it again. But Northwestern, on the other side of the ball too, Rutgers could not throw it deep. So they just, came up on them. They let them run wild behind them, and dared them to actually, dared Noah Vedral to hit one of his guys downfield.
So the strategy Michigan should have used.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you 3 guys. I read the student newspaper, the Northwestern student newspaper, after the Rutgers game, and they were talking up Bryce Gallagher and the defensive end Ade, whose name I can't pronounce. Can you pronounce that one? This is your specialty.
No, it's not my Adebawora, I think is the right, yeah.
And those are two guys that you didn't think were very good, but the Northwestern paper thought they just killed it this week against Rutgers. Could they just be growing up? Might Northwestern be running something a little different, perhaps a little less aggressive, as the Northwestern paper described it, or was this just a one-off? I mean, what's your instinct on that?
Seth?
I thought you. I mean, Adebawara is a good pass rusher, and they're using that, I think, to kind of, he picks up sacks. He had, I think, several of them against Rutgers.
He has 3.5 sacks. One of them came against Rutgers.
Yeah, he was getting back there though. He was
right. He has pressures.
Yeah, and Sam Miller can get pressures as well. But I mean, this is the thing Alex was focusing on too. They cannot defend the edge at all. And like every time that you showed that guy, like the Nebraska game, like that was the guy they were picking on. So I think that was the. And Alex, you're the one who decided to sign him there. But I thought that was the reason.
I didn't see the Rutgers game. I tried to not choose Rutgers as often as possible.
Tries.
Adebawara.
He is a great defense, but I think that's most people and it really, for this defense, just seemed to be whenever there was something tricky going on. And that's, like, I wonder about Rutgers in terms of did they not introduce enough confusion in the mix? Because if you made Northwestern have to think about what was going on, that's when it was total breakdown. Like, I had that clip from the MSU game where MSU runs a screen and they've just got no idea what's happening. And so, I think the defense could be decent if you just sort of run it up the middle a lot. 2019 playbook, right?
Well, wait. Let's say Washington 2021. Another team that had some issues at defensive end. Why would you?
That is the concern here. I mean, let's just get that out there. The concern here is that Michigan is looking past Michigan State and just wants to come out and run up the gut where Northwestern is actually strongest and not do anything interesting, which plays right into their hands. And like when you do anything interesting against these guys, they fall apart. You do play action. They have no idea what to do. You throw a screen. They have no idea what to do.
I'm sure that Michigan will run play action. I'm sure that they won't run a zone read. That's like live, except with McCarthy.
Yeah. Well,
but this is a team
this is a McCarthy game.
You could
really.
bring in McCarthy and just run some stuff, and then they'd be like, "Oops."
Yeah. I mean you liked their cornerback a lot. That surprised me because he was getting a little run by Michigan State guys. But like Michigan State guys are good.
He did okay against them, as you guys. There were some plays he got beat. There were some plays he did all right, but he could pass. It wasn't like no one on their defense.
So you just got to appreciate about the one guy, the cornerback, who was making tackles. Like, okay, at least he didn't score right there. All right. On their offense, I mean,
well, should we take a break and then talk about their offense as we do?
You want to use 2 segments on
All
Northwestern?
right, let's.
You're welcome to do so.
No,
I thought we were going to
all right
1890 at the second segment.
All right, all right. Objection sustained, counselor. All right, so the Northwestern offense started out the year with Hunter Johnson at quarterback again for some goddamn reason. Hunter Johnson got hurt. The next guy came in, played much better than Hunter Johnson, then got hurt. Next guy came in, played much better than Hunter Johnson. Still has not gotten hurt. That's Ryan Helinski, a South Carolina transfer who actually started for almost all of 2019 for them. So a guy who has SEC experience, has come in, thrown 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 6.5 yards an attempt, and started off slow, has performed pretty well in the last 2 games against Nebraska and Rutgers. And they have a pretty saucy slot receiver who was a Kansas transfer.
Which
and you're just looking at this guy and you're like, why are you at Kansas?
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't have to be at Kansas anymore.
Well, why are you at Kansas? I'll go to Northwestern.
Well,
Solve all the problems.
so they're
That's Steven Robinson, by the way.
yeah, Steven Robinson. And then they have another outside receiver who's like a Gallon type, except he's not as good. They have a short but sort of like spicy receiving core. Alex.
Yeah, and they don't ask them to do like too much, right? They get the ball to them, they can line them up all over the field, and those guys are really interesting. There's not a ton after that in the receiving core, but the running backs, they had a early running back that knocked out Porter, who was supposed to be the starter, but Evan Hall is decent, and I like Andrew Blair, the Bowling Green transfer, who's kind of like the bowling ball type that they deploy. It's just kind of the offensive line is holding it back. He's not terrible. They have a couple playmakers, and they're running it up the extra yards, but the offensive line has had some problems. I came into that game really expecting to rave about Peter Skoronski, who was terrific at left tackle last season as a true freshman, no less. Was one of the rare blue chip-ish recruits that Northwestern has gotten under Pat Fitzgerald. I mean, he was the guy that came in preseason all Big Ten recruiting. I was not impressed by him whatsoever. Now his season grades in the PFF are better, so it might have been a one-off. The offensive line is not doing enough right now.
And that doesn't seem like it should get better against Michigan. I think we're at the point where Michigan's defensive tackles are, if not an outright strength, at least we're not panicked about them anymore. And this might be the first time we really go into a game thinking, okay, we've seen Michigan defensive tackles against this level of opposition before, and it's gone fine. Should go fine here.
Yeah, they're inside guys. Not a single one of them is over 300 pounds. And they run a lot of power, which, like, if you're going to run power, the whole idea is
Power.
move people. It's
kind of like in the name of the thing.
Right. So, and one of them's a freshman who's replacing an injured guy. So, I mean, I think that this is going to be that's just going to be their only way they're going to move the ball through the air.
Well, and so the thing about Helinski is he's emphatically not a mobile quarterback. He has negative 87 career rushing yards. So what Nebraska was able to do with Hutchinson, which was option him off a lot of the time, and he still had a great game, but they were able to have some plays where he couldn't have much of an impact because he had to respect the threat of a keep. That's not on the table for Northwestern. So they're gonna have to eat a full game of Hutchinson bearing down on everybody.
Yeah,
that sounds like a recipe for panic, terror.
I mean, the closest thing I could put them to is Western Michigan, where they have a slot receiver. They're going to want to get the ball out really quickly to him, and then they have one other small guy they can throw to. Mm-hmm. So if Northwestern's going to move the ball, they're just going to throw fades to little fast guys. Yeah,
screw around.
Yeah.
Although I think the Western quarterback is probably
better.
Probably a lot better than
Helinski.
Yeah.
Helinski.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was interesting, Alex, you mentioned when we were in our Slack chat that, Helinski, because I was like, okay, we have to sign this guy because they're going to kill me if I don't sign Northwestern's quarterback after putting one on Cade, which was gone this week, which is gone. Done with that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. But, yeah, you were like, well, if you compare him, who was their quarterback last year, the guy from Indiana?
Peyton Ramsey.
Mm-hmm. You compare him with Peyton Ramsey, it was the exact same stats.
All right. I think we should mention that they've only had half their field goals this year, but after that, I think we can move on from the current edition of the Northwestern Wildcats and maybe talk about a much, much older one after this break.
Want the perfect game day outfit? Underground Printing has unique, great-fitting U of M apparel and officially licensed apparel from legendary Michigan names like Woodson, Howard, Ufer, and more. UGP also specializes in custom printed apparel and promotional items for groups, events, and businesses. Whether you need one shirt as a gift or 1,000 shirts for a charity walk, Underground can customize almost anything for groups large or small. To learn more, visit Underground Printing in one of our 3 convenient locations around Ann Arbor or online at undergroundshirts.com. It's painless. It's online. It's group ordering made easy for your next custom printed apparel order. Pogo from Underground Printing will save you time and hassle. Whether you're selling shirts for a fundraiser, organizing a large event, trying to collect sizes and payments for a family reunion, or, ordering a whole bunch of shirts with your Kickstarter, Underground Printing is here to help. Save time and hassle every step of the way with their easy-to-use site. No more guessing what to order, chasing people down to pay, wasting time trying to sort out the order. They'll set it up, and you can just sit back and relax. They'll even take care of individual shipping. To learn more about Pogo, visit them at any of their convenient locations or at pogo.undergroundshirts.com.
At Peak Wealth, we believe we can help you retire with confidence. It's Nick Hopwood, certified financial planner from
Peak Wealth Management
in Plymouth. I graduated from Michigan in 2001 with an econ degree and founded Peak Wealth Management in 2014. And now we have over $240 million of assets under management. As a freshman in 97, winning the national championship in football and hockey didn't get any better than that. Both my wife and I lived in Bursley that year, and it's crazy because we never actually met while living in the same dorm. Probably because she had a car and I had to ride the bus. But we named our dog Bursley anyway, and he's on the payroll here at Peak Wealth Management. At Peak, we're fee-based. We're your fiduciary, which means everything we recommend is always in your best interest. We partner with leading institutional money managers, focus on low fees, and make sure every client has a financial plan covering retirement, college, tax, estate, insurance, and cash flow. Simply put, we are
Peak Wealth Management,
your comprehensive financial coach. Book your second opinion at peakwm.com/mgoblog.
Peak Wealth Management.
Retire with confidence.
If you want to see where our post-game podcast happens, or if you need a spot to land in Ann Arbor, check out 4M, Prentice Partners' beautiful brand-new flagship property at 830 Henry Street in Lower Burns Park and across the bridge from the Big House. Their 11 spacious 6-bedroom, 6-bath suites feature state-of-the-art digital capabilities and are laid out for comfortable... All right, we're back.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 7.6 approximately. Apologies for the janky setup today. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Trying to be better people.
Yeah.
Alex, you still around here?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to talk a little Michigan hockey. They go into this weekend with a home-and-home against Western. They're coming off a sweep of Minnesota Duluth and Minnesota State, the number 5 and number 1 teams in the country. They're the newly minted number 1 team in the USCHO poll for the first time in 10 years. And Brendan Brisson is pretty much prime Brett Hull at this moment.
It's actually Brendan Brisson's birthday.
Well, he just got he's a marginally worse prospect now because he's now he's a year older.
But yeah, Brisson's playing great. He is doing a lot of things offensively exciting, and I think that's honestly where his game is progressed, right? Because Brisson is easy to make comparisons to, some of the great shooters of your mind. But what's progressed him forward is that he's more than just that. And his handling is a lot better, more confident on it, creating chances in the offensive zone without the puck. He's back checking more. I mean, last year, especially in the first half of the season, he was always very disengaged. He took too many bad penalties, especially early on, and just wasn't more than a guy who sort of was pitched and scored well. And now I think he's driving offense almost at the same rate as scoring well, and they're really playing off each other. And right now, the sky's the limit in terms of how many goals he can score.
Well, I mean, the thing that strikes me about Brisson is he's much more available, right? So last year, if he wasn't on the power play, it was very difficult for him to find space on the ice to actually get a shot off. And the winner on Saturday, where he's streaking down the lane and he's making himself an option for Bordelot. Like, you see that pass from Bordelot and you're like, oh wow! But also just making that spot where he's able to get there and be in that spot, and then anytime he gets a one-timer, I expect it to go top corner, which is kind of amazing. It's reminiscent of Kyle Connor. And, the Lake State series a week ago, you could see that Lake State had scouted Michigan's power play, and they're like, the one thing we are not going to allow is a Brendan Brisson one-timer. And he still got like 3 off because the rest of the team is so skilled that they can pull people out of position, and then it's just back to his stick. So, he's a headliner, and then a couple of the guys who are, you have Garrett Van Wy putting in a shorty on Friday, and, he's just been the same player. But I think he's a really interesting guy to talk about in the context of this series, because going into this year, a lot of people were saying, well, we've seen teams like this before. They're too young. They don't have enough grit. When they go up against guys who are 23 and 24, like these teams have, they're going to get overwhelmed. And Michigan was overwhelmed on Friday in the first period for a while. But, you look at Van Wy, you look at Blankenberg, you look at Pastiev, who along with Luke Morgan pulled Michigan's ass out of the fire in the second game against Lake State. Like, these are guys who have been around the block. And so the gap between Michigan in terms of like age and sandpaper and grit is not as big as it usually is for these teams. And then their skill level is even higher than the previous like NODAC, BU kind of teams that had a bunch of first round picks and had a lot of hype.
Do we lose him, Alex?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
so